Good afternoon. This is Francine Chirambo, relationship coach. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'm happy to be live, to be responding to the questions that I have received. It's a wonderful afternoon right here in Pretoria. It's very cool. It's the 8th of May and people are voting today. So it's very quiet in the streets, but this is the day when I'm live and I'm just happy to be here. I hope you have a wonderful time with me and I hope that your questions will be answered. Good afternoon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming live. I have a few questions today that I'll be responding to. Firstly, I'll be responding to a question where somebody asks about a husband who is not a spiritual leader in their home. And then I have another question which is coming from a lady who talks about separation. The husband has asked her to leave twice. This is the second time. And she would like to know what she can do. And then I have a question about in-laws. That is brothers, sisters, and mother-in-laws. Most of the time, we never get questions. We rarely get questions about fathers-in-law. So I want to believe that most of the fathers-in-law actually are very nice people. But yes, I have a question on in-laws this afternoon. And then lastly, I'll be responding to a question from somebody who's talking about dating, how best he can make his relationship fun without indulging in sex. Okay, so the first question that I have today is coming from a lady, a married lady who says, how do you deal with a husband who is not a spiritual leader in the home? He doesn't want to go to church anymore. Okay, so this is somebody, thank you, Apostle Raymond. Thanks for liking and thanks for coming online. Welcome. So this lady is asking about a husband who is not a spiritual leader in their home and her husband doesn't want to go to church either. Firstly, I want you to understand that you cannot change your spouse. You cannot change him. You need to understand that. So if he doesn't step up to be the spiritual leader in your home, you can step up to be that because you have to consider the children as well. That's if you have children. If you have children in the home, it's very important that you don't neglect them. So if your husband is not the man that is going to pray for the family, is going to teach his children Bible study, and you have been given that chance now to step up and be the spiritual leader in the home, you have to do it. You have to pray that God will give you the grace to step up and just be that spiritual leader to the children because you can't neglect the children. And then if he doesn't want to go to church, it's fine. Don't nag. Your nagging is going to be very irritating. Perhaps just try to understand from him why he doesn't want to go to church. Is there a problem with the church that you're currently going to? If there's a problem with the church that you're currently going to, I would suggest that you suggest to him that you visit another church, okay? Visit another church. Perhaps he may be more comfortable in the other church that you may suggest to him. See which church he's going to fit in, but don't give up. And then another thing I would like to encourage you is that you pray for him. Pray for your husband and pray for the children as well. It may be frustrating for you because he just doesn't want to pray for the family. But I would like to encourage you, don't give up, okay? Pray for him. Teach the children the word of God. Two wrongs won't make a right. So don't back off. If he stops going to church, don't stop going to church. Continue going to church. Continue taking the children to church. Continue teaching them the word of God and continue praying them for for the man of the house. He will one day step up to it. He will one day be that man that you want him to be, the man that God has said he must be, the prophet, the priest, you know, and the spiritual leader in your home. So that's what I would like to encourage you. Don't nag, and don't try to change him. Only God can change us, you know. If you want to change me, I can pretend to be what you want me to be, but you can never change me. So it's the same. If you think you can change him, you're going to waste your time. He's going to behave the way you want him to behave, but he's not going to change. So real change really comes in when it's done from the heart. So I would like to encourage you to do that. So that's my response on a husband who doesn't want to be a spiritual leader in the home. Actually, a lot of women will agree that there are a lot of men out there who just have refused to step up to be that leader in the home. They've left it all to the wife. And I really pray that God will give you a double portion of grace, that you'll just be able to be strong enough and you'll be able to stand and pray for your family. Okay. So my second question is coming from a wife who says the husband has chased her from their matrimonial home for the second time. Should she return with him home when he goes back to ask for her to go back home, or should she just rather divorce him? This is too quick to talk about divorce. Firstly, I really don't know what the problem is. This lady hasn't explained anything else that has happened in their home. All she says is that the husband has asked her to leave their home for the second time. Now, this is serious. Why would he want you to leave for the second time? I would say get to the root of that problem. Firstly, understand why he is asking you to leave. And I just don't know why he would want you to leave. What he should be doing actually is to let you know what doesn't please him and let you know what is bothering him, instead of just coming home and asking you to leave. So even as you go back to your parents or wherever you're going to go, what does he tell them? What is he saying? Hi, flamboyant queen. Thanks for joining this afternoon. I'm talking about a wife who's been chased by the husband for the second time. So as I was saying, get to the root problem, get to the root of the problem, find out what the issue is, because what will happen is that you'll be addressing the symptoms of the matter, and every time he will come back for you and you will make up. If that problem is not addressed from the root level, you constantly have problems. He will still ask you to leave. So I would ask you to ask him to give you the exact reasons that he's doing that. But unless, of course, he has given you a number of reasons, he has given you the reasons why he feels you shouldn't stay with him, and you just have not paid attention to whatever he has said before. So if you keep doing the same things over and over, you keep making the same mistakes, then that is going to be a problem. So you need to pay attention to what his problems are. What is his main concern to begin with? Okay, so seek clarity for him. And it being the second time, this is really serious. If it's the first time, sometimes you may be thinking, okay, maybe he just needs to understand this or understand that. But if somebody asks you to leave for the second time, then there's a big problem there, and it really requires your attention. So address what needs to be addressed from your side as a wife. Let him address what he needs to address from his side as a husband, because, of course, two wrongs never make a right. But also, when there's a problem in the home, I always say, both of you have contributed to that problem. So you have to be honest about the problems that you have contributed to, and he also needs to be honest about what he has contributed to. So most of the times we see that people blame women. When something goes wrong, usually it's the woman, okay? It's almost like talking about infidelity. When something happens and it's about infidelity, we're always thinking it's the husband, okay? But we see women cheating as well. But in this case, I would say, when there's a problem in the home, it's not one-sided. It's usually the two of you. You have both contributed to the problem, and both of you must contribute to the solution. So instead of this husband of yours asking you to leave every time he is getting frustrated, he must be a man. He must sit you down and he must tell you what the problem is, and then you must come up with a solution and implement that. That's the only way it's going to work. We can't keep running away from homes. Don't send your wife packing. If she has a problem, sit her down, talk to her, tell her what the problem is, and see how best you can do it. So you can't quickly skip to divorce here. This can be worked out. All right. Okay, and the third question here, feel free to leave any comments if you want, or to ask any questions that you may have, and I'll be able to address them either whilst I'm online or when I get offline. So this lady says, what does a wife do apart from prayer when her husband is siding with his relatives, when they are controlling, insulting, and walking all over her, including his mother? So this is the case of a wife who is being unfairly treated, according to her, by her husband's relatives. She says, what does she do apart from prayer? Okay, so she knows that my first instinct, my first reaction is, let us pray. That is what I always say. Let's pray. Let's commit this to prayer, because I truly believe that prayer works. There's no prayer that goes unnoticed by God. So I want to encourage you, even if it doesn't get your problem does not get answered today, I know that, prayer will be answered. It's always noticed by God. So this lady is saying, apart from prayer, what else can she do? Well, I would say in-laws are not the same. I know that there are in-laws that are very bad, but there are also in-laws that are good. So not all of them are bad. And I would advise that for the young ones, if you have some in-laws that are younger than you, address the matter directly with them. You can sit them down. Some of them is a matter of immaturity, and you can speak to them like you're speaking to your own siblings. So that is something that you can do. But for the older ones, I would advise you to speak to your husband, bring this matter to your husband's attention, let him know what is happening, and let him know how you feel about the in-laws. And if you're feeling that your husband is being controlled, have some real life situations. Give him instances where you feel he is being controlled. Don't just say, I think your sister does this, or I think your mother does that. Have at least something that you can work around with. Give him a practical example. That way he's going to understand better. And I would like to caution on talking about anything and everything that happens. It's not everything that you need to report to your husband. As soon as he comes home, your brother did this, your sister did this, your mother did that. It doesn't have to be that way, because when you keep doing that, he's going to get tired, he will shut down, and he's not going to listen. He will just believe you are the problem as a wife. So sometimes let some issues pass. You don't need to discuss everything else. But if it's getting out of hand, there's a reason. I mean, it's a good reason for you to sit down and speak to him about it. So I would also want to encourage you to continue praying for your husband so that his eyes may be opened. There are times when a husband is so involved with his family, with his relatives, and he doesn't see anything wrong with what they are doing. Everything that he is told is right. And unfortunately, sometimes it brings a lot of hurt. It brings a lot of pain in the relationship. So if you have that kind of a husband who is still listening to his own family, and whatever his family says goes, even when it is wrong, I would advise you to continue praying. Pray for him. Don't stop praying for your spouse. Prayer does a lot of magic. So even before you speak to him, ask God to give you an opportunity when you can speak to him about this matter. And God will definitely give you an opportunity, because we only don't just pray. We will pray and wait on him, and then he will give us that chance to speak. So wait for that chance, and then speak to your husband about it. But to the husband, I would like to tell you, I would like to bring this to your attention, that do not ignore what your relatives do to your wife. Okay, a lot of husbands just sit and they ignore like nothing happened. I don't know why they're scared of their relatives. Don't allow your relatives to mistreat your wife. You know, it's unfair and it is not right. You have to be man enough. You have to speak for your spouse. You have to be fair, okay? If your spouse is wrong, speak to her. Speak to her when you are alone. In privacy, speak to your wife. Let her know she was wrong. Let her know the way she responded maybe to your sister or to your mother wasn't right, but do it in privacy, okay? And if your relatives are wrong, be fair. When they are wrong, also speak to them. Don't just come out and say, okay, I'll talk to them, and you never speak to them. Speak to them. That is going to help you. This is your relationship. You know, you are working out your unit, you and your wife. So you can't always have what your relatives say. Take care of your wife. That wife has left her family to come and join you. She is not there as your slave. She is not there so your relatives can walk all over her. So be there for your wife. If she is wrong, I'm not saying you can't correct her. Correct the situation. You are the leader and you are the husband and you are the man. Correct the situations in your home, but just be fair. Okay. And then regarding your mother, because this question also talks about even the mother controls this husband. Okay. You as a husband must also understand that your wife and your mother occupy two different spaces in your life. She's your mother and she's your wife, two completely different people. They can never be the same. So why are you allowing them to compete? Why do you allow your mother to compete with your wife? That must never be allowed. She's your mother, give her the respect that she deserves, and she's your wife, give her her place, give her the space. If people come to your home, let your wife take her space, okay? Nobody must come into your home and take up the space just because this is my brother's house and this is my child's house. Those things must never happen anymore. Those things used to happen a long time ago, but today those things are unacceptable, okay? So you as a husband must be able to control the situation. So please, as a husband, control the situations in your home. If your relatives are wrong, let them know in a kind way. If your wife is wrong, let her know in a kind way. That is how we are going to control it. So that is the question from a wife who feels the husband is being controlled by the husband. Hi, Kupiwe. Thanks for joining this afternoon. And my last question is coming from a young man who says, I'm a believer and I'm in a relationship. How do I keep the relationship fun or good for both of us without sex as we are waiting for marriage? He's a gentleman and he knows what is good for him. He does not want to compromise what his belief is. Okay, so he wants to keep the relationship active. He wants to keep the relationship live. A lot of Christians feel when you're a child of God, you'll be bored. No, you won't be bored. Even if we are children of God, even if we are Christians, we love God, but we can still have fun in these relationships without crossing the boundaries that we have drawn for ourselves. So I would suggest to this young man to actually go for movies, make time. Hi, Pamela, that's my sister-in-law. Nice to have you online. So this young man wants to know what he can do without compromising his stance. Okay, so I would suggest to you that once in a while, go for movies. All right, go for movies. Avoid being in places, secluded places where you will feel tempted. You know, we are human beings, so when you're alone, you're going to have ideas in your mind. So avoid those kind of things. So go to a movie, say find a nice movie that the two of you can watch. Late night movie, evening movie, whatever time that you want, that's fine. You can also decide to go out for a movie. Okay, a meal. I've already spoken about a movie. So now you can take her for a meal. Go to a place which you can afford. If you can't afford, you can have a picnic. Sometimes you don't need much to go for a picnic. Just get a piece of cloth. Hi, Lydia Lee. Thanks for your comment. So get yourself a piece of cloth. Just go somewhere. Go to the park. Go somewhere where the two of you can sit and have some peace. Play a game or something. That way you're going to be connecting. Talk about anything. Talk about everything. That's how you get to know each other. That's for you. And then look out for concerts. There are a lot of concerts that are happening right now. It could be in your church. It could be any other church. try to attend some of those concerts and just have fun together. Go and worship together. It's really wonderful to have a partner that knows God, has a partner that loves God as much as you do. It's really wonderful. So you can do those things together. So try to spend time together with other couples as well. Try to spend time with other couples like yourselves. Play games and see what you can do for each other. Yeah, so Kupiwe says, or start dating all over again. Yes, that's really great. So don't get tired of each other. I would like to encourage the young couples, the couples that are dating in the church. Do not conform yourselves to the standard of this world, okay? Don't try to do what everybody else around you is doing. Try to make something happen for yourselves, okay? Just with a few pointers that I've given you, with a few suggestions that I've given you, you can really make your life very interesting. You don't have to engage in sex. I always say, stay away from sex because for many reasons, for many obvious reasons, because if you don't get married to this person, you would have slept with him, you're going to create a soul tie there. And then you move on to somebody else and you're going to have the same pattern. So that is why I'm discouraging that you stay in a place which is going to really tempt you to get into some sexual fantasies and all. So this is what I had for today. I want to thank you all for joining me. And what I really emphasized on today was really on the in-laws, because this is something that affects a lot of homes. It's something that affects a lot of homes. And I truly feel that husbands must be in control of this. But also the first one that I started with was a husband who is not a spiritual leader. Please, men, if we had a lot of men who are spiritual leaders, we are going to see less trouble in homes. A man who is totally sold out to God is going to lead his family, is going to pray for his family, and he's going to love his family just the way Christ loves the church. So if you're a man and you're not yet leading your home as a spiritual leader, I would encourage you to step up. You don't need to know everything else that your wife knows. You don't need to know everything else that your pastor knows. Just start from somewhere. Start every day praying for your spouse, praying with your children, and praying with your spouse. You know, you're going to see a lot more work for you, and you're going to have more time in his presence. You know, in his presence, there is fullness of joy. There is everything that we could ever want. So you'll be doing the best for your family if you step up and be that spiritual leader. So I just want to thank everybody that came online. I hope to see you next week again. I hope you will be able to join me again. Send me those questions so that we can talk about them. There's so much that is happening in marriages. We need to know where to get our counsel, because it matters who is speaking into our lives. Sometimes we are getting wrong information. So if you want the godly information, the godly counsel, tune into this page every Wednesday at 3 p.m. I'll be here responding to the questions that I receive, and I'll also be here to give tips. I'm happy to be here. Let's talk some loving. See you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.